A recent report by military experts stated that the current Iranian offensive is costing Israel hundreds of millions of dollars a day. Colombia was accepted as a member of the BRICS New Development Bank, an approachment with emerging economies amid tensions with the United States. And in Honduras, President Xiomara Castro denounced attempts of fraud in the National Electoral Council regarding the elections of next November 30th. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Beren de los Santos. I'm from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. We now begin with the information. A recent report quoting military experts states that the current Iranian offensive is costing Israel hundreds of millions of dollars a day. These costs could limit Tel Aviv's ability to sustain a prolonged war. According to experts, operating the defense systems could cost up to $200 million per day. The greatest expense is the interceptor missiles used to detonate incoming Iranian projectiles, which could cost tens of millions of dollars alone. Added to this figure are the cost of munitions, aircraft, and the unprecedented damage to Israel's military and strategic infrastructure. These rising costs put additional pressure on Israel to stop its aggression against Iran. Precisely in this context, Iran intensified its attacks against the Israeli regime by launching the 16th wave of missiles against targets in the city of Beersheba, an important technological and military center. Local media reported that Israeli defense systems failed to intercept an Iranian missile that hit a Microsoft plant, causing a great fire. The attack damaged settlers' homes and set fire to several vehicles. At least 31 people were hospitalized. The city of Beersheba is an important center for the military industry of the Israeli regime, which was already the target of an Iranian attack. The Islamic Republic of Iran responds to the Israeli aggression initiated last June 13th when it attacked residential areas and nuclear facilities. Meanwhile, in Iran, air defenses faced a new aggression by the Israeli regime against several areas of Tehran and other provinces. Since midnight and after monitoring hostile objects coming from the Zionist entity in the city of Rey, south of the Iranian capital, the air defenses were activated, trying to intercept and shoot them down. In this regard, a representative of the Revolutionary Guard in the areas announced that an Israeli drone was attacked and successfully shot down in the area of Kariza. The Iranian air defenses were activated in the central and eastern regions of Tehran, trying to counteract the presence of enemy aircraft. We continue in Iran as the Revolutionary Guard fought an assassination attempt against the Foreign Affairs Minister Abbas Gargachi by Israeli forces. The Israeli assailants were arrested by guards while attempting to sabotage and explode 3,000 liters of incendiary and chemical materials that had been placed in an inhabited house next to the minister's house in the Hamadan region. Also among the items discovered by this espionage team were a camera, a tripod, electronic devices, a modem, a camera to direct operations, a remote control, and explosive devices. Meanwhile, the Foreign Minister Sayed Abbas Arghachi thanked the work of the security forces in his rescue. Precisely, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Arghachi rejected a request for talks issued by United States President Donald Trump regarding the ongoing conflict with Israel triggered by the Zionist regime's aggression. On statements to the state television on Friday, Arghachi confirmed Trump has asked for negotiations and reiterated that the Iranian negative, stressing that as long as Tel Aviv continues its aggression, there is no room for diplomacy. In this regard, the foreign minister underscored that Iran is engaged in legitimate self-defense following the Zionist regime's unprompted attack. In addition, Arghachi asserted that an upcoming four-way meeting is scheduled with European Union's foreign policy chief and the foreign ministers of the United Kingdom, Germany and France, which the diplomat assured will be solely focused on the nuclear issue and regional matters.
We are not seeking negotiations. It is the United States who want talks. They've sent messages several times, very serious ones, but we made it explicitly clear to them that as long as this aggression and invasion continues, there is absolutely no room for talk or diplomacy. We are engaged in legitimate self-defense, and this defense will not stop under any circumstances. We have nothing to discuss with the United States, which is a partner in these crimes.
And while this is going on in France, dozens of people gathered at the Pantheon Square in Paris to protest against the conflict between Israel and Iran and to call for peace in the Middle East. The demonstration was mainly attended by French-Iranian citizens who demanded an immediate and permanent ceasefire to guarantee the protection of the civilian population. Through a joint statement, the organizing groups called for the rejection of Israel's attacks on Iran, emphasizing that civilians always pay the highest price in conflict. To date, the death toll from the Israeli airstrikes on Tehran and other populated areas of Iran has risen to 639, with at least 1,326 injuries reported. Now we have a short break coming up, but first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The Israeli occupation army committed 2 new massacres, killing 41 Palestinians. 27 of the victims were killed while collecting food at a distribution center in the Gaza Strip. According to Wafa news agency, Zionist troops opened fire on people seeking help near the Netzarim corridor in central Gaza. The famine-stricken Palestinian population gathers daily at distribution points to receive packages from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. The foundation is supported by the United States and Israel, but condemned by the United Nations for weaponizing aid. Meanwhile, on Friday, Palestinian authorities denounced the grave situation suffered by women in the occupied territories due to Israeli aggressions and orders of forced displacement to which they are subjected. The Palestinian Ministry of Women's Affairs described the current situation as catastrophic and unprecedented. Minister Mona Al-Khalili detailed how women in the Gaza Strip are facing terrible conditions in the face of the collapse of the health system caused by ongoing Israeli attacks on hospitals and the blockade of medicines, along with humanitarian aid. Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics reported that up to March 2025, more than 12,000 women in Gaza were killed by Israel, while over 1 million live as refugees in occupied West Bank and camps in Jordan and Lebanon. In parallel to Israel's genocidal campaign in Gaza, the occupying army besieges the Palestinian population also in the West Bank. A large contingent of military vehicles stormed the town of Tubas north of Nablus. Zionist troops were deployed in the town to raid several homes and harass the Palestinian population. On the other hand, a Palestinian civilian was wounded after being shot by Israeli soldiers near the separation barrier in the town of Aram, north of occupied Jerusalem. Raids also took place in several localities in southern Yemen and northern occupied West Bank. Colombia was accepted as a member of the BRICS New Development Bank, an approachment with emerging economies amid tensions with the United States. President Gustavo Petro requested to join the organization in May 2025. For Colombia, joining the BRICS New Development Bank represents the possibility of accessing new sources of financing for infrastructure development projects, renewable sources, among other initiatives. President Petro has insisted on the need to broaden the horizons of financing and international cooperation, especially with China, which has generated diplomatic tensions with the U.S.
It is an achievement. President Petro presented the petition in Shanghai in front of President Dilma Rousseff, and today we have been notified of Colombia's official entry into the BRICS Development Bank. This is not only a financial milestone, but also a historic one in terms of foreign policy. This serves mainly to seek sources of financing for territorial transformation projects, infrastructure projects, aqueduct projects, rail transport projects, especially for that purpose, and we will be looking for the best.
And in Ecuador this Thursday, 7 people were injured and 2 vehicles were affected after an attack with an explosive device in Quito. The fire department confirmed that 7 people were injured by shrapnel. 2 of them were taken to medical centers for further attention. In addition, 2 vehicles were damaged as well. According to the police report, it is assumed that the weapon was used was a grenade thrown from a moving motorcycle in front of a brothel at 9:10 p.m. local time. It is important to highlight that the capital of the country is part of the state of exception decreed by President Daniel Noboa, as well as 7 additional provinces as a strategy to combat violence and organized crime. And we go now to Chile as laborers of the National Confederation of Municipal Health Workers demonstrated to denounce government neglect of primary care. The protest was carried out throughout the country as one of the agitation measures prior to possible mobilizations to be carried out during the first days of July if there are no concrete solutions from the government. In this sense, members of the National Confederation of Municipal Health Workers denounce the precariousness of primary health care, such as the lack of infrastructure, insufficient financing, and violence in family centers.
Strongly pointing out that the government abandoned primary health care, which is the entrance door of Chile's health system, where 80% of the poorest population is attended. There is no infrastructure, we have no financing, there is violence. Therefore, what we workers do is to provide health care with the little we have, many times with cost to our own pockets, and facing violence due to the dissatisfaction of the community because of the expectations made with the government. We have been in a week of agitation, talking about different issues, and today we are in all the provincial capitals handing out pamphlets that speak of the discontent that has to do with the government, and I reiterate that it abandoned primary health care where they depend on the municipalities, where the people in the neighborhoods of the most humble peoples come to ask for attention.
Now we have a second short break coming up, but before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverages, and much more. Follow our page and activate notifications to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Honduras, President Xiomara Castro denounced attempts of fraud in the National Electoral Council regarding the elections of next November 30th and urged the realization of free and transparent elections. The Honduran president emphasized that past practices are being repeated in order to alter the will of the people, as happened in the 2013 and 2017 elections. Likewise, he supported Richie Moncada's request for mobilizations to respect the will of the people. It should be noted that these allegations are made in a context of growing political tension in the country prior to elections.
No podemos permitir que el fraude se repita.
We cannot allow fraud to be repeated as they did in 2017 and as they did in 2013. We demand respect for the will of the people. We demand clean elections, and we demand transparent elections. The candidate of Libre made an invitation. 26, 27, and 28, especially on the 28th, in the commemoration of the coup d'etat, to a mobilization so that the will of the people is respected, and we have transparent elections this November 30th. Just like yesterday, another blow to the people. Those who said that Sisi should come, the same ones who expelled the Masi. They are in the videos because they cannot erase them. Yesterday, they were the same ones who voted so that Sisi should not come. It was evident, wasn't it? It was evident that they dropped their mask and that they are the ones who do not want the Sisi to come. It is forbidden to forget that we are resistance.
And in other news, in Argentina, the unemployment rate rose to 7.9%. That is the highest figure since 2021 and the highest in the administration of President Javier Milei. The National Institute of Statistics and Census reported that unemployment increased by 1.5% in the fourth quarter of 2024. The number of unemployed in the 31 largest urban conglomerates in the first quarter of 2025 was more than 1,100,000 people, almost 200,000 more than in the previous quarter. Buenos Aires is the most affected region with an unemployment rate of 9.1%. The situation has worsened since the arrival of Javier Milei to the presidency when, at the end of 2023, he implemented a severe adjustment plan that affected several productive sectors. And Cuba will be the setting for the International Cuba Rumba Festival Tataguines in Memoriam, an event dedicated to honor the memory of the renowned Cuban percussionist Tataguines. The event will include a variety of activities such as the donation of articles of the percussionist to the National Museum of Music and community performances, as well as the participation of the National Folklore Ensemble. The festival, which runs from June 26th to the 30th, will culminate with a special tribute to Tataguines, including a performance of his birthplace and a celebration of the rumba as a symbol of Cuban identity. The Time and Epochs History Festival was held in Moscow, offering free activities. Attendees enjoyed reenactments, themed games, masterclasses, immersive performances, concerts, and open-air museums with the participation of reenactors from various countries such as China, France, Serbia, Turkey, and Italy. Our colleague Oleg Yasinski with the details.
Every year, Moscow holds a festival, Time and Epochs, an event that reconstructs and shows live scenes of everyday life in different epochs and regions of the world. Each location has its own specialization. Training stations in the 1940s, the Middle Ages in Nation Ross, and many more.
All our locations are open to the public and everyone has the opportunity to participate in various master classes. We strive to make them as authentic as possible.
Aquí podrán conocer de cerca los aspectos militares.
Here you can learn about military aspects such as the infantry formations of the Great Revolution of firearms. You can imagine what kind of weapon D'Artagnan, who was a musketeer, used. You can also see all about edge weapons.
Las lluvias de este año no fueron excusa para no asistir.
This year's rains were no excuse for not attending. The participants, dressed in costumes of the time, are professional actors, historians, and amateurs who strive to convey the spirit of each era as faithfully as promised. In this incredible atmosphere, visitors are not passive spectators, but can ask questions, participate in workshops, try on clothing, and engage in period activities.
Estoy haciendo un carcap.
I am making a quiver. It consists of wooden frame and these boards, and I will cover it with birch bark. It will have quite an interesting shape. This quiver will have prizes. The kids who came were totally unprepared. They only had enthusiasm, but during the 6 months of preparation, they trained regardless of the weather, rain or snow. They came to practice and they gave their all. They were sweating buckets.
Al principio, yo representaba una civil.
At first, I was representing a civilian. That is, a beautiful girl with those dresses, silks, and wools. But I saw a gladiator performance and it inspired me a lot.
Para cada día temático se organizan eventos especiales.
Special events such as street theater performances, handicraft exhibitions, folklore festivals, and traditional Russian games were organized for each theme day. The aim is not only to educate or entertain, but to contribute to the preservation of cultural heritage and the dissemination of history for all.
Hello, I'm Nico from Italy. I just finished fighting. I'm dead tired. Now we are waiting for the rain to stop and then we will do archery competition. This is not the first time we have participated in the Festival of Time and Epochs in Moscow. For some, this is the 7th or even the 8th year, and for us it is always a great joy to come back to Russia, to meet again with the Russian public and with old friends who are reconstructors.
Este festival es un importante evento cultural que une.
This festival is an important cultural event that unites people around history and keeps traditions alive, thus contributing to the strengthening of cultural identity based on respect for the past and the desire to understand the different stages of society's development. Not forgetting the past to build a better future.
Alia Giasinski, telesur, Moscow.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, my name is Belén de los Santos. Thank you for watching.